So in the last video, I managed to get one command going, member entered, and that will be persisted in the database. And the front end is sending a message through space broker. Well, actually, yeah, let's look at space broker. We have outgoing command, and we have a signal hub for command and outgoing. So you can emit a type of command, which is one of these things: enter, observe, leave, move. And I like these because they are telling you what they would like to do, but also you've kind of done it, right? So there's a bit of gray area. So it's almost like I don't want to really call this a command if I change this to past tense. Okay, so here's the thing I'm struggling with. Not this. When we do something, we want to know the time that we did it. So this is one thing I want to do. We want to add a proper timestamp into creating the command. Secondly, there's going to be a delay in the client if we wait for the server to tell us, hey, this thing happened, when we in the client are the one making it happen, clicking on something, shooting something. So we often want to play our own effect locally, and we're just telling everybody else to let them know what happened. So the event is actually already fact locally. So I'm okay emitting an event in JavaScript instead of translating it here in the backend using this command handler. So I was thinking, secondly, you can send a PID from the maybe space server so that you can use broadcast. So if it's kept with the tuple, you can maybe use broadcast from so that you don't receive your own messages because you created your messages. That would mean the local events need to emit events and not commands. So if we were to do that, where are we? Let's go back. Where are we emitting that first command? So we can look for command. And okay, so here we go. When the space channel has connected and your interaction choice has been made, then this will emit command sending the choice and this and that. So this doesn't have a side effect for us. We're really just letting other people know that this happened. So it could be called outgoing event. We might be okay with that. So we emit. Let's play with this idea. Have we saved all our changes? Okay. So what if we emit? And these are not really commands because commands can fail and these can't really fail. So we could say outgoing maybe it's just an event. It's an outgoing event, and maybe you have incoming events. So types event. So we'll jump over here. Our types. And so we got member entered or member observe, member observing. I think these are it. These are the event. So when you've made your choice, we can say event and the yes. So the choice needs to be. So here we have to do a little finagling here. So so the choice here is either enter or observe, and then the command name, event name, is take a look at the choice. So if choice equal enter, then let this be member entered. Otherwise, this is member observing. And we will say that when we receive an event, we will push into the channel event, and then the space channel we need to handle event. So now I'm not sure that we need to even handle the command, because you can just make a tuple of command name payload time this, and this can be the event. And then you send it to the gen server to serialize it. So let's look at this. This expects, okay, command name payload time in millisecond. Process event, we handle the cast, which is handle cast. Yes, it sequences it, and that should get saved. So if I clear my database using mix ecto reset, launch the server, and create a new space A, make this slug A as well, and enter here, and we enter. What did the backend do? We have saved a payload that looks like what? Here's the payload, and let's take a look. So we pull all spaces event, We have a payload, sequence, a space ID, and we said the member entered. Pretty cool. Which means we don't need a command handler for this. We also don't need a directory of events. Over here. On in millisecond is not meant to be used, prefix underscore. Okay, so we haven't persisted the time yet. So let's change this payload. I think it should be event streams to distinguish it from space events. So let's go to the migration. Make a modification here. Create event streams. This is event streams. Primary key false. I'm not even sure we need a binary key here. Type, yes, keep it. Sequence, integer. Is there a big integer? Double? What? Ecto migrate bigger than integer. What's it called? Big int. Okay. Well, no payload space ID, yes, and the timestamps. Don't need timestamps. This. Oh, what is this? Type of insert defaults to naive date time. Inserted at the name of the column for storing insertion times, setting it to false disables the column. Updated at type defaults the timestamps inserted at. Inserted at is okay with me. Options inserted at. Oh, okay, updated at false. So updated at false. And I think we want to add event time stamp, and this will be naive date time. We'll create an index around space ID. And I think we want create unique index for events, space ID, and sequence. Okay, So now if we go to the event schema, it's here. So I want to pull this out. This has to do with the event stream. So let's call this, I mean, it still belong to spaces. Sure, event stream. So primary key, no primary key. Foreign key type, binary ID, don't need it. Event stream. Payload, sequence type, binary ID. It has the event time stamp, which is name date time. And what else did we add? Name date time, and we remove something. Oh yes, time stamps is really just updated at it's false. And then we can say cast type sequence payload event timestamp. Required are yes, everything. Okay, now did this create any tests? So was that in spaces? Create an event. Here is the okay list events. How about let's just say event stream. Just give me a space ID from event stream. Where is space ID in order by sequence? Okay, that is fine. Then get event by the ID. We won't support that. Create an event. So event stream. Okay, event stream. And we go insert. Okay, so where are we using create event? Using it in the event writer, which is one nice place. So this thing creates something that can be saved. Handle events. Okay, so every event here can be written. So this thing, event writer subscribes to queue broadcaster, dispatch events. So handle cast, asynchronous, notify the event. You queue them, and then when this thing dispatches the events, it just gives the events. So whatever we're giving to async notify, that's the event. So async notify is used in space server here. So this must become attributes for event stream. So event stream attrs. We've got the sequence here and naive. No. What's it called? Date time event timestamp, and we'll get first of all, in the event timestamp that you can get from the front end, if you're looking for 2IO string, that is probably good enough. So you're going to get 30 all with the same timestamp, but that's probably good enough for our purposes. So where are we looking now? Now we're looking at the front end. When we create the command or the emit event here. When we emit this event, okay, the signal hub will do it. I mean, sorry, space broker, when you receive outgoing and you're going to push to the channel, we'll do it. Okay, here. So here's we added the time to the end, so we'll change then to 2 ISO string. And I'm curious as to what what's this change set do? The XR spaces event stream change set. Take one of these, XR spaces event stream, that, okay, event timestamp. So what happens if you give it an event timestamp and it's just all numbers? Is invalid. What would you get if you got a string that looked like this? Okay, so that is okay. And it looks like it's been truncated. So it only took the seconds, it didn't even take the milliseconds. Is that right? So what happens with payload and type and space ID. What's a space ID? It has to reference a correct space ID because I used reference, right? Believe so. Because I think this will fail. Valid is true. I mean, oh yeah, we're just checking this. But if I try to save it, it won't work. So I got to change the space ID out. Repo all space. That should give you a proper space ID. And then I'll be able to replace this. Change set. Okay, let's see if it has the resolution in there. Repo. What is it? Update? Change set. Okay, here we go. Struct event strip is missing a primary key value. Okay, update only works on things that have a primary key. Right. So how do you enter something without a primary key? Let's see. You can sidestep this problem, but just allowing it to have its primary key right here. So, whoops. No. Diff. Oh, delete all these. All right, keep this. And the and rename this to event stream. And what was this thing? This thing was a migration, create a table. I renamed it. So the new one is nope. Nope. Okay, so it's not part of the diff. Oh, but here it is. That's the part I need. Add this back. Just fine. Don't need to solve that right now. And so I think this would have just set this value. I'm thinking I'll get more precision with this being in milliseconds, because if I do this, you get timestamps and you get 3 significant digits on the seconds, so you get thousandths of seconds. And if you do to what, integer, what is it called, to time string, no, that ain't it. Oh. JS get time in milliseconds or something. It's just get time. Oh, yeah, it bunches up the same. It's not better. But can you get finer than milliseconds? Can you get microseconds? Okay. Too complicated, but at least you get milliseconds, which is better than the naive date time. So we'll give time in milliseconds. And we'll save that as a big int. So go back to the part that said ISO something or other. Get ISO where's it? ISO something. Here it is. We'll just say get time. This is pushed to space channel. Time in milliseconds, that's right, time in milliseconds. Space server processes the event. It goes to the cast. Casting does time in milliseconds, event timestamp, time in milliseconds. And so let's just change the type. So time in milliseconds is not naive date, it is a big we'll do mix ecto reset. Create index space ID relation events. Oh, event streams. So we should be able to do this. Create event stream. Have it. Looks good. How's our test doing? Okay, compile error. Events test. Right, we need to change a couple things here. So member entered. So we've got two events here, which okay, we don't even have these things anymore. The XR events. So when we process an event now, the event looks totally different. Space channel process the event. We get these values as part of the payload. So it puts these things in, and we built a tuple, but instead of building the tuple, here's the command. Okay, so this is now the name. It's not a command name, but we wish to do just pass them in like name, payload, time in millisecond, and possibly the reference, right? So we could pass ourself the PID. Yes, what happens if you pass self, okay, into this process event? So there's no head for this. It would look like this. Process event be a PID. And we would cast as such event. Sure. Name, payload, time in millisecond, and the PID. Right? And then this would be handled in the, where's it go? Process event, handle cast, we'll do a couple more things here. So it will be this whole thing, this tuple instead of that tuple. Good. And paste. So we'll get name, is the name, sequence payload is payload time in milliseconds, and PID we don't use here, but asynchronous notify will send this and the PID. No. for that. We'll use it here. Broadcast event base, the attributes, and the PID here. So when we go to broadcast event, if we have the from, then can't we do the XR web endpoint broadcast from well, we don't even need to use the endpoint version of broadcast from. We can just use broadcast from within the server. But because we might abstract this somewhere else. For example, you're piping it into something that is going to write. I almost feel like this should go into some kind of pub sub. Which right now you're sending it to your own space channel. And messages within the within processes is pretty fast. Well, let's just see if it works first. So broadcast from, and what is the API for this? Phoenix endpoint broadcast from topic event message, from topic event and message. Event adders was event stream adders, payload, and type. Sequence. We care about the sequence. Yeah, I think we do. Sequence and event timestamp, please. Okay, so this was broadcast, this is broadcast from. So when this happens, we shouldn't see our own message, right? Compile error, space server, what is this? 25, process event. Can't invoke a remote function socket assigns inside a match. Oh. Test. Oh yeah, these don't exist. So, oh yes, process event. We want it to look like name, payload, time in millisecond. PID. So really this could be name 1, payload, time millisecond, right? And then some PID. Two. And so stored events should be able to be event stream, and you should have 2 of them, and they should be in the right sequence number. Syntax error before blah blah blah, a comma. 2 failures. Create box is undefined. Space command. Oh, create event command. Right. So this was a test where we start a space and then we generate a particular command. This is issuing the command itself, which we're not doing from Elixir side. So we'll test 1 failure and process event 2 undefined and private. Oh yes, so this needs to be right. Pattern match like this, which is name payload, time in millisecond, and PID to be name, payload, time in millisecond, and PID. Okay, now what? Undefined table event streams does not exist. Mix and equal test, mix reset, ecto reset. Okay, so we got 0 events saved, even though we went to the right. Okay. Nothing is saved, eh? And writer, event writer should be receiving these things. Let's console log something here. I'll inspect events, and the label is event writer receiving events. Okay, so it got something. It got 2 events. 1 and then 2, and so did it not save it? Stored events. So what is the stored events? Did we get to write it? Create event. Yeah, that's okay. So maybe I'll inspect this. This is the create event. Okay, event timestamp is invalid. It says it's a naive date time. Oh, no. Okay, so the database changed it to be big int. The front end, the event stream, cannot support it as a naive date time. This just needs to be an integer now. There we go. Saved these two things. Okay, so we've sort of abandoned the difference between commands and events, and we just went back to just having events. This makes it simpler to receive the same events. We don't have to rely on a server to transform them, and because they're already facts on the client side, we're really just sending them out, not for interpretation, and then we should be able to process our own event in the front end. Now, did we get the message? Let's see if we do. So localhost, let's run our server. So I don't expect to see a message. Okay, so in the front end, we will receive base base broker is subscribing to every kind of message here. On message takes everything into the channel for the topic of A, or we're about to create A, and so we'll see channel incoming for everything. So let's create our space, A, this plug A, and then we enter the space, incoming presence diff, and I do not see that the person entered. We see send command enter, but we ourselves didn't get it. As opposed to, if we open up Firefox now, go into spaces. Now what I expect is when I click on enter over here, we'll get incoming. So we got an incoming channel incoming presence diff, channel incoming event. There it is, number entered. But on this side, we got channel incoming presence diff and channel incoming presence state, but we didn't get the member entered. Okay. Okay, let's take a break here.